All right, what's up, everybody? I am Is There No One Else? I am here today bringing you my updated Magicka DK build. And as you guys know in the past, if you followed, I posted a build using the USP wiki, using what it was before Horns of the Reach dropped. I've had some time to play it. I've had some time to tweak some things. This is the finalized version with all the stats the way they should be. No more waiting to see what they're going to be exactly. So, in general, this build's pretty strong. For my playstyle, this is a double sword and board, heavy armor build. You can make this light armor if you choose to. When I play Magicka DK, I like to be a little bit more tanky. I like to have the increased survivability of double sword and board. I know it's not for everybody. You can switch this build up to make it light if you prefer, but that's what I prefer to. That's how I prefer to run it. So, yeah, this is going to be. If you've seen the previous videos, this isn't like most Magicka DK builds where we're not using a full monster set. We're not using traditional sets that most Magicka DKs have used, and this is still very effective. This build hits harder than my dual wield Magicka DK patch from DK setup from Marland. It has the same sustain. I'm a little bit more tanky, and because I'm wearing sword and board, and I'm hitting harder. So this is just a better setup than that, and that setup was solid. This is one of the better setups I've ever run. What's best? I have no idea. Like it all depends. Like if you're fighting outnumbered, like severely outnumbered all the time, Desert Rose has its place. If Alteration Mastery has its place in group play and small scale situations, but in general, as a Magicka DK trying to 1vx or 2vx, you tread this line. And in my opinion, you tread the line from being so tanky that you're just a tank and having damage. And so you have to find this, it's probably the hardest class in general to 1vx with. You have to be really good with your resource management. You have to have a certain amount of damage. You have to know how to line of sight. But with a Magicka DK, with the lack of burst, sometimes it's just hard to kill people. So finding a build that hits that sweet spot for you guys as far as sustain, tankiness, and damage isn't always easy. This is what works for me. This is my wheelhouse for all of those things. So if it's not going to work for you, that's cool. But here's the build. We're running 5 impregnable. We're running 3 jewelry impregnable, all arcane. You can get jewelry in arcane, healthy, or robust. These are going to be arcane. We have 1 spell damage enchant, 1 recovery enchant, and 1 reduced cost. On our front bar, we're running a sharpened sword with increased weapon damage enchant. You can run flame. I just did this for the flat damage to try and light attack weave to get this buff. We're running a divine shield with max magicka. We're running a defending sword on the back bar with a divine shield with max magicka on the back bar. Double sword and board build, heavy, 5 light, 1 medium, 1 heavy. As far as monster sets go, you can run whatever monster set you guys want. This is just what I'm running. I just wanted to show that, you don't have to run Bloodspawn, you don't have to run Grothar, you don't have to run Scoria. Like you can run other things. But this is very effective for me. I'm running 1 Alambris light armor divines just for the max magicka. 1 piece Kina will give you more damage, slightly more damage in this. I do not have divine Kina, so I can't run it. Then on the body, we are running 5 Twiceborn Star. All heavy Twiceborn Star. We're running Hikajos on the chest and legs, and then max magicka on the waist, hands, and feet. This is going to give us a little bit more of a stat pool for our health and stamina, while also giving us as much magicka as possible so we dish out more damage. And then on top of that, we are running 1 Domi House, preferably in divines. I do not have a medium armor divine Domi House piece, so I'm running well fitted at the moment. This is my only piece that is not divines. It will be switched out once I get one. Domi House is the new 1 piece that you get in This is the new one piece you get in Falkreath Hold. You do your dailies, you turn in the keys. For this, it gives you max stamina and max Magicka for a sword and board Magicka DK. Bigger pools is a better thing, so this one piece works out very well. Yeah, as far as the skills go, on our back bar, we're running coagulating blood, volatile armor, and this is your fill-in, guys. Like, you can run whatever you want. You can run burning breath, you can run wings, you can run flames of oblivion. I'm running volatile. The reason I'm running volatile over all the other ones is they've reduced the amount of things you can reflect with wings, and so it's not as useful. Flames of oblivion would be good, and burning breath would be good because they both pull Nightblades out of stealth, but this makes us more tanky, and it does a damage over time effect. So it's kind of a combination of what you're trying to do with wings and what you're trying to do with those other two damage abilities. It does damage and it makes you tanky, so I went with this. Elusive Mist, we are a vampire with this build. Sometimes you get locked in talons when you're outnumbered. There's a lot of builds out there that run snare builds. We can't dodge roll a whole lot because we're a Magicka class, so Mist Form to allow you to line of sight, to get around a corner, to reduce incoming damage, to get out of snares is very valuable. So definitely be a vampire for this build. Igneous Shield. This is a small shield. It gives major mending. It also gives us ultimate due to our Earth and Heart passives. On top of that, it restores stamina. So when we're block casting, a hit of an Igneous will give us ultimate, and it'll give us a little bit of stamina back. So we don't need as much stamina sustain on a DK due to our ultimate regen, how we generate ultimates, and Igneous. Fossilized, and then Devouring Swarm. Devouring Swarm is our oh shit ultimate. We're going around a corner, we see 4 or 5 people, they all jump on us, we can't really survive, we can't get to our front bar ultimate, we activate Devouring Swarm. It's a good heal, it does good amount of damage, and this allows us to be offensive while we're taking damage. So we pop our bats, it does a bunch of damage to people, we flip to our front bar, we lock them in talons, we inhale, and now everybody's taking damage, and the squishiest ones, are on the defensive, and maybe we can sneak off a quick kill or two. And then we've just narrowed the fight from 4 to 2. So this is the oh shit ultimate. Front bar, I'm running Shooting Star. You can absolutely run Ferocious Leap. Ferocious Leap's just fine, it does good damage. The only thing is this is cheaper, so you could absolutely run this and you'd be fine. I go with the more expensive one. This gives us 2% more max Magicka. This gives us more Magicka recovery. On top of that, it also does a damage over time effect as well. So I drop this, it hits them, I can guarantee that I get the initial burst damage with Fossilized, and then I can lock them in talons, and I can lock them in the meteor dot, and that's 43 flame damage every 1 second for 11.8 seconds. So that's why I'm running this over Leap. If you want more burst, absolutely run Ferocious Leap. You'll get this quite a bit. You can just be leaping on people all day, but I'm going for Shooting Star. Flame Lash, Burning Talons, Burning Embers, Structured Entropy, and Deep Breath. Deep Breath interrupts anybody casting, so anybody trying to hit you with Dark Flare, anybody trying to revive, anybody beaming you. If they hard cast a frag, you can interrupt them with this. This is a skill that you use outnumbered. So like if you have 2 or 3 people on you, you quick slap this on. That inhale is going to be a heal. If it hits people, it's going to shoot out fire afterwards. And so don't use this too much. Like, you don't really want to use this in a one-on-one situation too often because it's very expensive. But outnumbered, this is going to, the more people that are on you, the bigger this heal is going to be, and that's how you're going to stay alive. As far as our champion points go, we are running 56 Warlord, 75 Arcanist, 72 Shadow Ward. We are not running Sturdy on this build. We are not running reduced block cost in the jewelry. Wooler from Wooler Gaming has a great couple of videos where he talks how reduced block cost works, and his general rule of thumb is if you want reduced block cost, invest into the CP tree or invest onto your gear. Because if you do both, you get diminishing returns. You're going to miss out on damage or sustain or something else if you do both. Absolutely, if you do both of them, you're going to be able to block cast more, but I wanted to also have damage to be able to 1vx as well, so I'm investing points into Shadow Ward. and then using the divine traits, using Twiceborn Star to maximize my damage. If you wanted more reduced block cost, definitely put reduced block cost enchants on your jewelry. That will be additive to Shadow Ward, and it'll make you a lot more tanky. You'll be able to survive. You'll be able to block cast longer. But 23% is pretty good. 17 into Tumbling for the occasional dodge roll. 57 Elemental Expert, 29 Spell Erosion, 34 into Elfborn, 23 Master at Arms, 11 Shattering Blows for the occasional Sork Shield, 66 Thaumaturge since we're basically running all dots. 51 Ironclad, 0 into Resistant. This is the nice part about running Impregnable, is we get the crit resist that we want without having to invest anywhere else. This allows us to invest more points into our CP tree so that we take reduced damage. We can now put more points in a Hardy, Elemental Defender, and Thick Skin, and Ironclad, which makes us more tanky because now we're taking less incoming damage with the same crit resist. 23 Quick Recovery, 20 Heavy Armor Focused. That's the gear. We're running Tripods. As far as our food goes, we are running, just like my Sork build, we are running Lava Foot, Soup and Salt. Sorry. We're running Ghastly Eyeball. Lava Foot is the stamina version. With the 2 Acacios, with Twiceborn Star, with Impregnable, they all have health bonuses. So we get health from Twiceborn, we get health from Impregnable, and we get health from our Tri-Stats. We also get stamina from all 3 of those things, so we get to run this food that gives us more max Magicka and more Magicka recovery than Potent Witch Mother, or Witch Mother's Potent Brew. So we get more sustain out of this, and we get more damage by running it this way. In PvP, we sit around 24,000 health, which is more than fine with the amount, they reduce the burst damage from proc sets. They still do good damage, but now they're not going to like instantly nuke you. And so because of that, you can get by with less health if you're careful. Since we will be block casting quite a bit, 24k health is more than fine for me. Allows me to have a little bit more damage. More damage on a DK when you're trying to 1vx is a good thing. These are our stats on our front bar, unbuffed. We're at 41,657 Magicka. We have 1903 Magicka recovery, 16,000 stamina, 18,000 health. In PvP, 24,000, 1855 spell damage unbuffed on a sword and board build, which is pretty good. In general, heavy armor builds, will sit anywhere from 12 to 1400. So this is actually pretty high unbuffed spell damage. And then with the amount of dots, with the amount of max Magicka we have, we're going to be hitting pretty hard. This is our resistance is unbuffed. Critical resistance is high because of Impregnable, which is awesome. We're running the Atronach Mundus Stone for the Magicka recovery, and we are running the Apprentice Mundus Stone. Now, if you want higher sustain and slightly less damage, you can absolutely run the Mage. The Mage will give you 3,000 more Magicka, and you'll be sitting around 45. You'll be at almost 45,000 Magicka if you run the Mage Mundus. Same amount of Magicka recovery, you'll just have a bigger pool to draw from. I went with slightly more damage. I wanted the burst. You can run the Thief if you want to, if you don't like the crit where it's at. Crit doesn't apply to shields, so I wanted flat damage. I want to apply as much flat damage to everybody in PvP. I don't want to give an advantage to somebody just because they have Harness Magicka or they have Hardened Ward. Just my preferences. So when we buff up, let's see if I have a spell power pot. I do. These are our stats fully buffed. 2191 Magicka recovery, 41,657 Magicka, 2226 spell damage. We do get 320 more with our sword and board, so we're at around 2600 spell damage fully buffed. Pretty hard hitting setup, guys. So is it the hardest hitting? No, absolutely not. You're going to hit roughly 10% harder in a light armor build compared to heavy, but incapacitating strike nukes light armor builds if you're not careful. That's one of the reasons I'm running heavy. We're also a vampire. Having those resistances against Destro ulti is also very useful. I'm not saying you can't. I'm just saying that that's my personal preference. That's all. As far as tips and tricks for this build, for those of you guys that maybe you've never ran double sword and board, and you normally run resto and sword and board, and you don't run this setup because you're not you're not used to it. At one point, I could only run resto and sword and board as well. I wasn't used to this play style. I wasn't used to how to sustain this way. I didn't like it. It took a lot of trial and error to get to where I wanted to get. But the rule of thumb here, and I'll just show it to you guys. Coagulating is a good heal at low health. When you take a bunch of damage, this will pop up, and you do 33% more when you're at lower health. So this is a very good oh shit heal. But the cost is very high. That's a problem with a lot of Magicka DKs in general, is our cost of abilities is high. So you don't want to rely on this like a Templar would rely on Breath of Life. You know, that's not going to be good for your sustain. It's not going to be good to keep you alive. This is just for emergencies. How you stay alive with this build is you use your deep breath, you use your burning embers, and you use your talons with your flame lash. This ability will heal you. Targeting an off-balance enemy changes its ability into power lash, allowing you to lash an enemy with more intense flame damage, dealing this flame damage, stun a monster for 2 seconds, and heals you for 13,000 over 2 seconds. This, when you put them in talons, you naturally immobilize them and you set them off balance. And so this will, when you get somebody in talons and you hit them with this, there's your flame lash because they're off balance. And now you're getting healed by doing damage. And so that's one heal. I'm going to let them beat on me a little bit. I'll show you guys the other heal. Inhale is a good heal. I just got a 5k heal in PvE off of it. And now finally the last heal here. I'm going to hit them with Burning Embers, let them beat on me a little bit. And basically what happens with Burning Embers is the duration. Once the duration ends, you get healed for 75% of the damage it inflicts. I just got a 13,000 heal off this Welwa. I've got 9,000 heals in PvP off of Burning Embers. So if these are people you're 1vxing, you go in there, you hit a couple with Burning Embers to keep your heals going, and if somebody all of a sudden hits you with an in cap and you're on your ass, you quick hit with another Burning Embers on the same person and it'll activate the heal. Once that heal ends, you can reactivate it. And so you can sit in front of somebody and just spam this on one person if you wanted to, and then that's your heal. That's kind of what keeps you alive in that situation. So the more you can stay on your front bar and utilize your damage heals, the better off you're going to be. That's why bats work so well with this. So all of a sudden a bunch of people jump on you, you pop bats, you go in, you inhale, you lock them in talons, you hit them with your Burning Embers, and then you start flame lashing the people that are in talons. This does a good amount of damage. It has good sustain. Kind of has everything I want. As far as tweaks for this build, if you guys want to run HOTR, if you guys want to run Scoria, you absolutely can. You can fit that in. You're going to have less max Magicka. You're going to have less stamina than me. But we don't have HOTRs on as many pieces. Like, you can fit more stamina and more health by running HOTRs on more pieces. So you can run HOTRs on the swords, or sorry, on the shields, not on the swords. You can run on the helmet. You can make up for your lower stamina pool that I have by doing that if you so choose. And you could still fit your monster set. If you want to run Bloodspawn, Bloodspawn's good. Just make sure it's Divines. Divines with this build is perfect. It maximizes our Mundus Stones. So as you can see, we get a ton of recovery because we're running so many Divine pieces. We get a lot of damage because we're running so many Divine pieces. So if you guys have any questions about this build, any comments, please provide them in the section below. I'll do my best to answer. Really enjoying it. It hits pretty hard. We're very tanky. This is excellent in group play as far as crowd control. If you're fighting with another person, you can lock them in talons. You hit them, you lock them in talons. Your buddy hits them with a Dawnbreaker. They hit them with a Destro ulti or a negate, and you can really mess up groups with a build like this. So yeah, that'll be it. Thank you. Have a nice day.